I don't know. And we're live. Okay. All right, messing up already with this introduction. Welcome back to another awesome episode of Tea Time with Tia for Geek Vibes Nation, and I have two very special guests with me today. My lovely boyfriend Paul, and this most amazing dog, Katie.
Say hi, YouTube world.
These two awesome guests, or one because Lady's gonna go somewhere. Oh no, and we got Apollo.
There's my other buddy.
For those who don't know me, again, this is Paulie. He and I have been together for 11 years, and we've been living together for about 5.
Yeah, 5 years now.
5. And we have 4 cats and a dog. So
all our kids
right now are gonna probably end up joining at some point during this podcast. But it seems like I got relatively good response for my last tea time with Tia, and I decided let's just do another. We're self-isolating, we're indoors, and I don't know, let's just do this. It's fun, right?
Yeah, why not?
Exactly. So while you're self-isolating, you're at home, there's not a whole lot going on. I think we mentioned the last time that there's no new movies coming out, really no new shows coming out because production has halted on pretty much everything and you don't know what to watch. So that's why we're here. We're going to go through only four of the shows that I think you need to binge while you're self-isolating.
And I'm not sure what 4 shows those are yet. So.
Yeah, no. This is a surprise. I made up the list, and he's going to essentially comment on them. So for the most part, he's seen all of them except for the first one. I'll just bang that one out really quick because I feel like he probably didn't watch all of it.
Which one?
Well, it is going to be Amazon Prime's The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, I've never seen any of it. I don't think so.
I feel like as I'm doing this is as if I'm announcing like the Emmys or something. And the winner is...
The amazing whatever, something.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh.
So... no, it has nothing to do with Marvel. I have friends and coworkers that I'll say, hey, you really need to check out this show. And they'll say, oh, I'm not really into any of those like Marvel shows or movies. And I'm like, just because it has the word marvelous in it doesn't mean it has anything to do with Marvel, which...
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you should watch the Marvel movies anyway. But so The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is on Amazon Prime. It has 3 seasons. It stars Rachel Bacanam. I probably should have looked that up, but it's essentially like it's not based on anything, but I've heard people say that it's kind of like emulating Joan Rivers' career, being a woman in the 60s, having essentially she thought she had pretty much the cookie cutter life. She was married, she had kids, and then her husband decides to leave her for his secretary. So what is the natural thing to do? To start a stand-up comedy career. So if you can imagine, it's a young woman in the early 60s trying to start a career in comedy where women essentially had no voice at all, and she's dealing with the fact that her family absolutely hates the idea because at the time it doesn't matter what your husband did, you still need to take him back. You still need to go with him. It's the worst thing ever that our daughter's divorced.
Thank God the world's not like that anymore.
In some regions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's essentially what it is. And from there, it's hilarious. It's heartwarming. It's heartbreaking. The side cast, the supporting cast, I should say, is absolutely amazing. Her parents are hilarious. Alex Brostein actually won awards for her role as the main character's, Mrs. Maisel, the main character's manager, I would say. And of course, anyone out there who's a fan already of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel already knows that Luke Kirby as the real-life comedian Lenny Bruce is probably the best thing about The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't think it's just a show for women, even though it's very much # women's rights. But
anybody can enjoy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, one of our associates at Geek Vibes, AJ, actually just started watching it with his girlfriend, and he says he absolutely loves it.
And I'm big on women's rights as well.
Exactly. No, so I'm saying, like, it doesn't matter that, whatever. It doesn't matter any of that. You should watch it, whether you're a man or a woman or whatever. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is funny. It's fast-paced. It has some really quality writing, and the jokes are just hilarious. And we could all use some laughter in this time.
Definitely. Being home sucks so much.
Yeah, Paulie is definitely the type of person, he loves to go out all the time, and we have a dog, and she obviously loves going out. So to be in a time that we essentially have to be barricaded inside, it's terrible. So, I mean, I kind of like it. I'm a natural couch potato, but even I'm
not used to it.
I don't think any of us are used to it.
I also keep trying to give people vibes, and nobody wants to touch me. And it's so
That's
awkward.
The thing is that I'm such like a handshake person, right?
Me too.
That's the first thing I do when I want to, or not want to, when I meet someone. I want to shake their hand. It's just how I was raised. So to be in a time now where they're saying you can't do that is kind of weird.
Yeah, the whole world is pretty weird at this moment. Like, there's so much going on that I'm not used to. I don't think anybody's used to this.
I don't think anyone's used to it, although there was this really good article circulating on Twitter. I don't know the author, but I'm sure you can find it. It's about this guy who lived through the AIDS crisis, and so it's pretty much his experience witnessing that pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of like, tips how to stay calm during all of this, what to be aware of.
Well, the only difference is you had to have an exchange in bodily foods or have sexual intercourse to get HIVs. This one, you could just spread it coughing or touching somebody's hands.
Well, I mean, HIV can be spread also through, blood and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how people were first aware of the fact that just, that it wasn't just gay men who could get HIV when that young boy got it through a blood transfusion. But
of course.
My point is that when AIDS first came out, that it was very much panic-inducing. People didn't know what was going on, and people were afraid to even touch, say, gay people or something. Well, but I'm just saying, like, people were scared, and I think that that's why the article is good, because it's kind of showing you, like, just don't panic. Like, I think
people need to keep it together in times like this. Don't go emptying store shelves and all that. It's a bit nuts.
It is nuts, because every time I go to the supermarket just to do regular food shopping, like say if our pets need anything, or maybe we just want to get a freaking loaf of bread, there's nothing. There's nothing. Every time I go to the supermarket, I show him a picture where I'm like, can you look at these shelves? This is insane. But
that was pretty crazy. I've been going to that ShopRite for a long time, and I've never seen those shelves empty like that.
I've never seen that before. There was not one single thing of pasta sauce anywhere, which is insane. We're Italian. We like our pasta. That was a really funny video from Italy when they were all first starting to self-quarantine. Was they interviewed this old guy coming out of the store, and they were pretty much like, what are your feelings? And he's like, there's no pasta on the shelves.
No pasta,
no pasta. So I thought that was hilarious. But my main point in bringing up that was just, everyone please calm down.
That just makes things worse.
That just makes things worse when people begin to panic. If you don't know everything about a disease, there's no use in spreading false rumors or panic, because that just makes everything worse. So that's what I was trying to get with that article is saying,
I know.
But going back to the subject at hand, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is a number one suggestion from me, because I love that show and I can rewatch it over and over again. It just got renewed for a 4th season. So if the people who are in charge of that show are listening, get Lenny and Midge together. Okay? Anyway, let's go to the next one. All right, so you're going to know the next 3. And
Catch Fire?
Let's do that one. Yeah. So the next one is AMC's Halt and Catch Fire, which you can actually now watch on Netflix. And I really recommend this series. It ran for 4 seasons from 2014 to 2017, and it stars Lee Pace, Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie Davis, and
some name.
it was a nickname, obviously. Mackenzie Davis and Carrie Beach. And it starts off in the early 1980s, pretty much during the boom of computer technology and all of that. So I'm actually going to refer to you because you are a coder yourself. And how was it kind of beginning to watch it and see where we pretty much have come from in technology? I mean, before you go, the funniest thing to me ever was in the first season where Lee Pace comes to this company and he's trying to make things happen because he's a salesman and stuff, and they're gonna make a computer that rivals IBM, and he's like, I need a portable computer that's under 15 pounds, and they're like, impossible.
They wanted it to fit in a briefcase.
It wanted to fit in a briefcase. Yeah. But how hilarious was that to see at a time where they're saying that 15 pounds portable is impossible, considering I think MacBook or something is 3 pounds.
I think that was just the wrong choice of a word to use, impossible, because clearly it wasn't impossible. But at the time, maybe it was just way over their heads, like no one's ever done that before. Technology was nowhere near what we have today. I mean, you could fit more computing power than all the computers back then combined just in your phone now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't remember, honestly, the details from the show from beginning to end, but I did like the fact that they basically, I don't even think that was a true story. I think they were just basing it off of, I can't remember what computer actually rivaled that, but what it was actually called.
Yeah, there was a computer that came out that was trying to do that. And there were a few things that were real about it. I mean, they mentioned Texas Instruments, which, at the time did try to get into the PC world, but
if
failed.
Only people did invest in Texas Instruments, they'd be rich.
Yeah. But it talked about Apple computers, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. So it talked about real people in the game, but these characters were fictionalized. But I thought it was really interesting. It starts with, them. Oh, and Comdex. Comdex was a real...
I think it was I can't remember what the name of all the computers. You had, obviously, the... what was the first Apple computer called again? I kind of suck when it comes
I'm not an Apple
stuff.
person. No, but Matador, Commodore, or something.
It was Commodore. That's what I'm thinking of. I believe that story, the Halt and Catch Fire story, was based on that, but they twisted it a little bit, just for the show.
Could be, but I mean, Comdex was a real conference that went on from the late 70s to the early 2000s, where people showcased their new computers and stuff. So the first season all takes place of trying to make this computer to showcase at Comdex to rival the IBM. And then from there, it's, not only making computers, but making software, building technology. And the fourth season actually explores the whole thing of search engines. Like they talk about Yahoo.
I think the first search engine, the first official search engine was XGeeves. I don't remember anything
I thought it was
that.
Yahoo. I think that's why they mentioned it in the fourth season when they were entering the 1990s.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, the first time I really got into computers, there was still AOL. I think it was probably around 97 or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, I would have to look into that, but if you are listening to us talk about it and you're like, I really have no interest in computers, it's
not everybody does.
But it's so much more than Halt and Catch Fire. It's a story. It's people.
There's a love story in it.
There's love stories. Lee Pace, Joe McMillan. Lee Pace plays a complete sociopath.
Yeah, he was crazy.
He was crazy. Mackenzie Davis played that's honestly Paulie's least favorite character in the show.
Oh, the girl?
Cameron.
Oh, I just thought she was super annoying. She was really aggressive for nothing. I get you're rebellious, but come on, to an extent,
we were both punks in our teens, so but the show kind of is advertised as Lee Pace and like Mackenzie Davis. They're the main characters. Their story is the main thing. But to me, what was most enjoyable was Scoot McNairy as Gordon Clark and Carrie Beach as Donna Clark. They were married, and their whole, like, Gordon at first when you meet him is this guy who, you know,
Gordon was cool.
Gordon was cool, but Gordon was like a computer engineer. He had tried to showcase something at Comdex a few years prior to the beginning of the show. It failed, and he pretty much was like a shell, like sleepwalking through life. And Lee Pace comes in and lights a fire under his ass.
Well,
but
when you spend your whole life working towards something and it fails, that's gotta be pretty crushing.
Yeah, and that it was crushing the Gordon. But then we see like his whole story, where he goes and everything. And I also loved Carrie Beach as Donna, because in shows, like, I'm gonna be honest, in shows you have like the genius guy and you have his wife, and she's just the housewife, right?
Yeah,
But not only was she a mother and a wife, but she was also a genius. Like, she went to the same school as Gordon, has the same degree. She was working at Texas Instruments before. We see in the first season that there's an episode where the BIOS code in the thing that they're working on is...
She was written by her. No, I can't remember.
No, see, this is what happens is that Cameron was writing the BIOS code and it got lost, and you find out later it's because of Lee Pace. But Gordon needs a solution. What does he do? He knows that his wife is up to the task. He brings his wife in, and she recovers I think they said 96% of the BIOS code.
96, 97% of it.
So she's not stupid. So I like that they like made his wife, you know, just as smart as Gordon, if not smarter. So to me, *Halt and Catch Fire* is a quality show. It's binge worthy. It's 4 seasons, 10 episodes each, and absolutely needs to be watched.
Yeah, I love binge watching shows like that. It sucks watching it week to week. You forget basically what happened weeks before, you know?
I can't deal with that. I'm sorry. My contact is drying out, and I'm like, ugh, God, blinking. But so yeah, *Halt and Catch Fire*, definitely watch. But I'm not going to give away too much because you need to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was going to say probably from 1 to 10, I would think that show is like an 8.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Well, because I'll be honest, like, I'm sitting here, absolutely watch it. I didn't agree with some of the decisions that the writers made in the 4th season. But I still appreciate the show, but I just didn't agree with everything that they put into place. That's me personally. But let's move on. We got 2 more.
By the way, sorry if I'm fidgeting so much. I just don't have a seat, so I'm sitting on the hard floor right now. And I'm pretty skinny.
What about your pillow?
I just feel like I'm too low. Like, you look so much taller.
I know, and he's 6'1". I'm like 5'4". Also really hot. Can we turn off the heater?
The fan.
Oh my God.
It's just hot in here. Our heater is really excessive. You turn it on for 2 minutes and it's boiling hot.
Yeah, I'm also wearing like a sweater, so that's probably not helping. But let's move on. I'll go to another show that Scoot McNairy was in because
who's Scoot?
The guy who played Gordon.
Oh, I didn't know his name. Sorry, that's why I was going to ask you before what Gordon's name was.
Scoot McNairy is the guy who played Gordon, right? And as Paulie can attest, when I like an actor, I have to watch literally everything that they're in. So let's go to another Scoot McNairy show. Well, in general, so this is going to not make sense until I say it. I'm going to pick Narcos, and that includes Narcos and then also the spin-off show Narcos Mexico. So the 2-for-1 here. And Paulie has binged it with me
many
times. Well, all right, tell us what you think about Narcos as a whole, both Narcos and then Narcos Mexico.
Well, obviously the whole cartel thing is not a good thing, so I'm not glorifying it, but I like the acting a lot. I thought the actors did really well. Obviously, maybe not obviously, my favorite actor was Pablo Escobar.
The actor's name is Wagner Moura.
That's the name too. But I don't know, I liked the ones that took place in Colombia more. I liked the first Narcos Mexico, but I wasn't too into the second season.
The second one was my favorite. I thought it was better.
Oh my god, I forgot his name. What was the head cartel guy's name? I can't remember.
Who, in Mexico?
Yeah.
Felix.
Oh, I liked his downfall. That was my favorite episode.
That was in the second season.
That's what I said. I don't like the second season.
Oh.
I liked the last episode when he fell and his whole team basically turned on him.
Yeah, that was fucking fantastic.
I also liked when Pablo Escobar did that cameo.
In the first season, yeah. So the thing about Narcos is that the first season, the reason why it was even created was because it was telling the story of Pablo Escobar. And, we had no idea about, I've heard of Pablo Escobar, but I had no idea, his story.
I knew he wanted to be a politician, and it didn't work out, but
I didn't even know any of that. So I know a lot of people in, say, Latin America have to know his story, and they're probably sick and tired of hearing stories about him. But anyone I talk to, loves the show. My CFO at my company is from Colombia. And he said that he was tired of hearing about Pablo Escobar, but his wife called him up and she was like, "We got to watch Narcos." And he was like, "Why do I want to watch this?" And he watched it and he's like, "It's the most accurate depiction of what happened." And that's because the first two seasons were focused on Javier Pena and Steve Murphy. And those were the real DEA agents that were tasked with bringing Pablo down. And they are still alive to this day, and they were consultants pretty much on the show. So that's why it's so accurate.
I get why they all got into drugs. I mean, the plants grew naturally in their country, the coca plant. And, they're poor. That whole country is super poor. So, I mean, I don't want to say they had no other choice, but it was a clear, decision.
Even I think in the first season, Steve Murphy said, he's like, if you're in a poor country and you're making money that's bigger than the national debt.
Than the government.
Yeah. There's at some point where Pablo Escobar literally offers to pay off Colombia's national debt. And it's like, how do you have that much money? And it's all because of the drug trade.
I wish. Right? Have anything close to it would be awesome.
But I really liked the way it was done, because you really started liking the DEA agents, and you also liked the Narcos, but I don't think it glorified. It showed Pablo bombing shit, bombing a plane, hurting people. So it didn't glorify it. Obviously you're going to be like, ooh, money, and look at all these nice houses. But
it was just a show, I mean, you could say the same for anything. I'm sure people in Italy don't like the fact that we have a ton of movies based around the mafia, which do glorify it.
Exactly. But I just think you have 3 seasons of Narcos, and then you have 2 seasons of Narcos Mexico, which, after 3 seasons of Colombia, they were like, okay, how do we stay fresh? Let's go to another country that obviously also has this narco problem. And they went to Mexico and explored the Guadalajara cartel, which is not around anymore. And then all of those things. And they're things that still lead into this day.
I was just gonna say, I liked watching them because we still have the cartels working this day. So it was nice to see what led up to what we have currently going on in the world.
Well, in the 2 seasons of Narcos Mexico, they explore El Chapo, and he was just arrested half a year ago or something like that?
Long ago.
Yeah, not long ago at all. So it's it really hits home. I think the end of season 2 of Narcos Mexico ended off exactly at 1989. That's not that long ago.
That's 2 years after I was born.
That's 1 year before I was born. So I really like it. And yes, the second season of Narcos Mexico, Scoot McNairy was a main character. So definitely.
He was hardcore in that show.
He was hardcore.
Yeah.
I might want to watch that after this. Get ready to watch more Narcos.
We spent probably 3 months watching Narcos every weekend, literally every weekend.
It's why I can really attest that it's fantastic.
It was good. It's a show, to me anyway. I mean, I like watching new things, but it doesn't get old. It's nice to watch it every time.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think, and also in the original Narcos, I think that Pedro Pascal did a really good job as Javier Pena, and Boyd Holbrook did a really good job as Steve Murphy. They had a really good chemistry together. Like, honestly, I think that's why I didn't like season 3 as much, because you didn't have Steve Murphy there to work alongside Javier, and I thought that their like chemistry with each other was really great.
I mean, the show was awesome. I couldn't imagine any other actors playing them, honestly. They did such a good job.
They did such a good job. They did such a good job casting everyone. Like, as Paulie said, it's like, I like Narcos Mexico, but it's hard to step away from what Wagner Moura was able to accomplish as Pablo Escobar. I mean, he is fantastic. Such a good actor.
He kind of looked, I mean, Pablo had a bigger face, but he really did.
Pablo had a longer face.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think Wagner was better looking than Pablo.
Obviously,
to be fair,
they all were.
I was going to say, that was something that Juwan and I talked about during our review show of Narcos Mexico. I mean, Narcos continues to get like these good looking actors, and you're like, I wonder what the real person looked like. And you're like,
hideous.
Oh God,
terrible.
They look terrible. Like the real Felix Gallardo, so bad looking.
Like somebody you would not want to meet in a dark alley.
No, but then you have someone like Diego Luna play him, and you're like, oh, look, so lovable. And it's like,
I'm glad he did it, because he almost refused to do it. So
he also refused to contact the real Felix Gallardo, who's still in prison to this day.
Yeah, I don't blame him. You know, like that guy messed this whole country up. I wouldn't want to go.
No,
that's like me going to meet Osama bin Laden or something. You know, like I wouldn't want to.
I think his whole thing. Well, because a lot of actors meet like the people that they're portraying, even if they're criminals. Like Tom Hardy went to meet the real Charles Bronson in, you know, British prison when he portrayed him in the movie. But I think that Diego Luna didn't want to do it because he's like, there's not a whole lot on this guy. We're manufacturing our own story pretty much, you know, also being truthful. But he's like, there's no need. What do I need to meet this guy for?
In the videos I saw of him, like the actual Felix, he didn't seem like, I mean, maybe it's because obviously the videos I saw were after he had gotten arrested, but he didn't seem to be anything like the character that was played.
No, I can't imagine the guy that they actually, like, I can't imagine the real Felix was able to do everything that they showed in the series, like bringing all the Plaza bosses together, pretty much rigging an election.
Elections are all rigged.
Well, yes, but sentencing pretty much a DEA agent to die. Like, I can't imagine the real Felix doing that, because in the show, I don't know if you remember, in the show, it was Rafa who ordered like the kidnapping of
and everybody
Kiki.
tried to stop him.
But in real life, apparently, it was Felix who ordered the kidnapping of Kiki. So I don't know, but one last point is that, you know who I also really love? I talk about him all the time. I really loved Jose Maria Yazpic as Amado.
Oh yeah.
I just think he was so cool, and I really hope that. First of all, I really hope that Narcos Mexico gets picked up for a third season. Like,
I like Rafa's character.
Rafa was cool, but he was too chaotic. Like everything,
that's what I liked about him.
Everything about him was this chick, and I'm just like, you are dumb. But what I was gonna say is, I hope that Narcos Mexico is picked up for a third season, even with all of this shit going on, them having to delay everything. Like, pick it up for a third season and focus on Amado and focus on El Chapo. I was gonna say, I don't know who the actor is for that, but he was great in it.
Yeah, I liked El Chapo's character. I thought he was really cool.
He was really cool.
He just had a really squeaky voice.
He had a really squeaky voice, and he was really amusing. Like, in the second season, where he's sitting with his mom, and his mom's like, "But who protects you, my son?" And he's like, "You, Mom." And she's like, she's like, God, and he's like, yeah, I was gonna say that, obviously.
Right. Yeah. They should do the next season would only make sense to be about him.
Well, yeah, to be about El Chapo, because I can't figure out what I want to do with my hair. I'm sorry.
Now all the plazas have their own cartel leaders. Today.
Well, so the whole thing is, after that, all the cartel plazas, like, they all went to their own thingy, you know, separate out. I know, really eloquent way of describing it, but remember that Netflix show, Chapo, right? That like had nothing to do with the narco show, but still showed it. In that they showed that once Felix went to prison, El Chapo tried to do what he could to establish himself as a plaza boss, and it worked. So hopefully we'll be able to see that in a third season. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. And let's get to the last show on the list, and it's going to be Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil?
Mm-hmm.
So, it was okay to me. It's not. I didn't really like Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and what was his name? Oh my god.
Iron Fist?
Yeah, Iron Fist.
What about the Punisher?
The Punisher, and I want to say the Punisher was probably my favorite of them all. And then I don't know. I think Daredevil was all right. So Iron Fist was my least favorite. I think
Obviously,
Daredevil was next.
Oh my god! Why are you even on this podcast? No, I'm joking.
I like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones more than Daredevil.
I didn't like Jessica Jones more. Luke Cage season 2 was great. Obviously, like Punisher is my favorite, but the reason why I say Daredevil is because it has everything in it. Like Daredevil season 1 is like Iron Man 1 of the MCU. That was the first show that started off the whole Netflix Defenders universe. And you have Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. You have his whole thing. Like, okay.
He played a good Daredevil.
Yeah. Think about the last time we had a Daredevil. It was Ben Affleck as Daredevil, which was terrible.
I can't even remember, honestly.
You gotta look it up.
I ever saw it. Was it a movie?
It was a movie.
I don't think I ever saw it.
It was bad. But Charlie Cox was able to like emulate what it would be like, say, as a blind person. The choreographed fights were some of the best fights I've ever seen on TV. Like, I don't know. I loved it. The first season, to me, the first season started off like a little slow. Wasn't so like into it. But season 2, for very obvious reasons, aka John Bernthal as Frank Castle, marched into season 2 and probably like I call season 2 of Daredevil the Punisher season 1. So even though there's technically 2 seasons of the Punisher, I count there being 3 seasons because Daredevil season 2 was all about Frank Castle, rightfully so. John Bernthal is phenomenal. Another actor that I watch everything with him. And
he's a good actor. Yeah.
And I forced Paulie to watch. But season 3 of Daredevil was some of the, not even some of, like the best TV writing, acting. Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk was just insane.
Yeah, he was definitely a good Wilson Fisk.
So good. Like to see him come back in such a capacity because he's been in all 3 seasons, but in the first season, he was like the main guy. Second season, he appeared for like 1 or 2 episodes. Third season, it's like, boom, him as like the main villain. And he was just great. Like everything we've been like watching since season 1 and all the crossovers between all the other shows and the Defenders show all came like full circle into season 3. And that's why like, so Netflix canceled all of the fucking Marvel shows. I have no idea why to this day. If it had anything to do with Disney Plus, if Disney I don't understand it at all.
Did they get good ratings?
Phenomenal ratings. It was except for Iron Fist, but I don't understand that. I think it was some deal between because I don't even want to get into it because
I really wish they had even some of the Avengers, anybody from the Marvel universe, maybe cameo in any of the shows.
Tell me how wouldn't you have loved in Avengers Endgame in that final scene when all the circles are making and they're like, and remember when Stephen Strange is like, is that everyone? He's like, you wanted more? And it's like, okay, fine. And then he does that. Yeah. And then all of them came. Oh my God.
That would have been dope as hell.
Because the thing is that the Marvel shows, it's not like those took place in a separate universe. They talked about the incident, which is the event from the first Avengers with Loki.
Coming through.
Right. They talk about the Raft, which is that imprisonment from Captain America Civil War. Remember it came out in the water when Hawkeye and yeah. So it's like and they even mention him like in Jessica Jones. There was one of those people who were like, oh, your people, killed my mother. And she's like, I'm not part of the Avengers. Like, go to the Hulk. Go to...
scene. Either have the Defenders cameo in one of the Avengers
You know why
movies,
it
or
is?
the other way around.
You know why it is? The same reason why we couldn't get the X-Men in anything,
Well,
because
that
of
makes more
contracts
sense to
and.
me.
I don't understand why it was either. It would have been the most amazing thing ever. Like, I waited for it. I remember before Infinity War came out, someone made a poster and it looked so real. I thought it was a thing. And it was, starring like all the people from, the Avengers movie. And then at the bottom it was like Charlie Cox, John Bernthal, Kristen Ritter, Michael Coker. And I was like, oh my God, like, they're doing it. They're finally doing it. And then finally, like, after so long, they were like, that's a fake poster. I'm like,
it was like a fan-made thing.
It was a fan-made poster. But it's like, why can't you just make us fans happy? Like, we pay for your shit.
I just don't, like, how helpful they would have been in any of the Avengers movies. Like,
okay, so it's like, you have like, in Avengers Infinity War, right? They had the Battle of New York, where they're in New York battling. Okay, guess who else is in New York?
Yeah.
Matt Murdock, Frank Castle, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. Like,
and that's right. They're all in
all in New York.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me.
It didn't make sense
it's like,
at
what
all.
were they just sitting at home while all this happened?
Frank Castle's sitting there drinking coffee with Karen Page, just chilling. Matt Murdock's like off doing something, and to be honest, Jessica Jones was probably getting drunk at a bar.
Yeah. But cool
or even if they did a shot, right? Like, say things are coming through and you see Luke Cage trying to help the people of Harlem, right? Like, he didn't even need anything. You didn't even need to show him fighting alongside the Avengers. You could have just shown them, like, helping out from a ground level.
Well, I mean, hopefully these movies aren't over yet. So hopefully, I mean, who knows? Maybe in the future they might.
I don't know, because I doubt it because, like, all right, so I'll tell you, Kristen Ritter, who played Jessica Jones, she said that she's pretty much done, even if they did bring it back, because she's like, I feel that I gave the character everything that I could.
So give it more.
The guy who plays Luke Cage, he is now in a new show, so when would he get time? Charlie Cox has expressed that he would love to come back, and so has John Bernthal, but John Bernthal is doing a lot of shit. I don't know what Charlie Cox is doing, except for, he was in that really good Broadway play that I saw him and Tom Hiddleston in.
That's all we need.
Is what, Daredevil and Frank Castle?
Jessica Jones, yeah.
We don't need Iron Fist either, definitely not. But this is why I say, and I get some flack for it at GVN, but love you guys. But I say that people want all of the Marvel shows to come back on Disney Plus. To me, I think that that's unrealistic. I say just bring back Daredevil. It was the strongest one. Charlie Cox is still game to do it, and because everything stemmed from it, you can bring back people. Like, you can make a new Daredevil series and bring back John Bernthal as Frank Castle. That's where he originated as anyway. Like, yes,
yeah.
Did I love the Punisher series with everything in my bones? Like, seeing, Frank Castle getting fleshed out like that, seeing Jason Momoa as Curtis, seeing Ben Barnes as Billy Russo. Fantastic. But I'm going to be a realist here and say that if you can only bring back one, bring back Daredevil. Then obviously bring in John Bernthal as Frank Castle. And then if you want to have cameos, you have cameos.
Yeah, definitely. That was another relationship I really liked, actually. Daredevil and
Frank Castle.
Yeah. And Castle. I thought they had a really cool dynamic.
So that's another thing. Like, remember at the end of Daredevil season 2 when Frank Castle is like on the roof and he's fighting. And he goes, no, he's helping Matt Murdock fight against the ninjas, and he's like, see you around, Red. And I'm like, okay, but then he never saw him around.
Yeah.
And then in Punisher season 2, Frank Castle says to Karen, like, oh, that Matt Murdock guy. And then in the 3rd season of Daredevil, like, Matt mentions Frank, and I'm like, when are the two going to cross together again? That's what I want to know.
Maybe it was just like,
no, it's a little Easter egg. I know, but I want to dream here.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
I would like to see it too. Honestly.
I would like to see it.
I think that they should combine or just interconnect these shows and movies more.
I agree, but we'll have to see what happens because Marvel has postponed all production on their movies temporarily. That includes That includes Shang-Chi, The Eternals, anything. Black Widow's release has gotten postponed, which I was pissed about. I really wanted to see.
I saw the trailer for the first time, actually.
For Black Widow?
Yeah.
Didn't it look epic?
Yeah, it did look cool.
It looked really cool, and who knows when that'll come out. So, I don't know. This virus is definitely, like, putting a damper on things, but hopefully we gave you 4 awesome shows to watch to bridge the gap in between you self-isolating and wanting to pull your hair out.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have anything that you'd like to suggest, or
what, show-wise?
Yeah,
nothing Marvel related.
No,
I would suggest watching True Crime if you haven't watched True Crime yet.
Yeah, True Crime
saw
is good.
For the first time last weekend, and I thought season 1 and season 3 were awesome.
You mean True Detective? Yeah,
sorry.
True Detective. Season 3, Scoot McNairy was in it.
Yeah.
But season 1 was phenomenal with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey.
I have a ton of shows that I like, but off the top of my head, I can't think.
Yeah. No, definitely. I only didn't mention True Detective because I'm like that's one of those shows that you really have to like pay attention to and be focused in on, or else you're gonna miss things. It's really intense, but absolutely, I agree with Paulie. Like season 1, we just watched it a few weekends ago, and I was blown away.
Yeah,
I was
good.
Blown away how good it was, and season 3 was really good because you have. I always mispronounce his name. I feel really bad. But Mahershala Ali.
I don't even know his first name. Honestly.
He's such a phenomenal actor. I mean, he was in Luke Cage. He was probably the best thing about the first season of Luke Cage. And he's been in a ton of other things. He's going to be our new Blade.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, didn't you see that? That was epic.
I can't even believe that they're making a new Blade.
But that was the most epic thing. Like when they announced at San Diego Comic-Con, it was like at the end of the Marvel panel, and Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel, he was like, "Oh, we got one more announcement to be made," and it's like you have Mahershala Ali come up, and they're like, "Okay, what's going on?" And then he puts a hat on, it says Blade on it, and it's like, "Oh my god!"
I honestly didn't like the Blade movies too much. I was never into vampires or werewolves, stuff like that. So
I think under Kevin Feige's direction and with Mahershala, and again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. I just suck like that. But I think with him in it, with Kevin Feige, it's going to be good. So regardless if you like vampires or not, I think it's going to be awesome. That's just my opinion personally. But he was really good in season 3 of True Detective. And of course, again, Scoot McNairy is in it, so make sure you watch it. Season 2, though, I don't know. I got bored.
Watch season 2 still.
Yeah. We got to definitely give it the old college try because I feel like I wasn't really, like, paying attention. As I said, like, True Detective, you have to pay attention.
Well, that's what I like. I love movies like that where you can't miss a detail.
Yeah, that's what I like, too. Didn't we watch a movie like that recently, I feel like?
I watched Memento recently. That was kind of like that. Memento is dope.
Memento is really good. Christopher Nolan's, I think, first movie with Guy Pearce in it. Any Christopher Nolan movies, you cannot like walk away from or not pause or anything because you're gonna miss a ton of shit. But yeah, I think that we did a good job in going over some things that you need to watch. Brittany and I are actually going to do the top 10 podcasts later, and we're going to do the top 10 movies to watch while quarantined. So, we're going to throw out suggestions for you just so that you aren't lost in your time of self-quarantine. Exactly. But
play some video games.
That too. Yes, please. I'd love to know, what type of video games do you like playing there? What type of movies do you like watching? Let me know. I'm on Twitter, Tia Faby. You can find me there. You can find me on Instagram. I want to engage. I want to know. And I also would like you to like and subscribe and tell me what you enjoy and tell us if you liked this format of video. I hope that you certainly did. And just make sure you subscribe. Geek Vibes Nation. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we're going to just be trying to give you content during this time. It's scary. There's a lot of negativity out there, and we want to add some positivity. We're not going to obviously change the world. We're not medical experts.
We can try, though.
So, thank you everyone for watching another episode of Tea Time with Tia and Polly. And Apollo.
And Lady.
And Lady's over there. She's looking like, I heard my name.
What was that?
But yes, thank you everyone and have an awesome time. Bye. Bye. And end.
All right.
Oh.